the experiment, the video recorded experiment, okay, or the demo for this activity is already uploaded no sa YouTube channel. The worksheet 4, which is the individual output that you have to submit, uploaded na din together with the laboratory report. Okay, laboratory report template. Yun naman, yung lab report, yun yung group activity. So I repeat, for this experiment number 4, you will submit an individual activity, yan yung worksheet 4. Okay? Then the group output would be the laboratory report. Okay? So the same pattern how you accomplished worksheet 2. If you remember worksheet 2, changes in matter, ganun din. May individual activity, individual output, then my group output. Okay, so let me begin the laboratory discussion. Okay, so this activity is entitled Separation of the Basic Constituents into Groups. Okay, now in general, this activity follows the concept of qualitative analysis. Okay, qualitative analysis. Okay, and remember, this is the heart of the laboratory activity in PChem 1. If you recall the description of this course, Pharmaceutical Inorganic Chemistry with qualitative analysis. So we will now begin those experiments in relation to quali analysis. Okay, now let me define first what is a qualitative analysis. When you say qualitative analysis, it is a procedure. Okay, it is an analytical procedure, okay, which is used to identify, okay, or to separate, okay, okay. Ayan. Ano yung sineseparate natin dito? To separate ions, okay? To separate ions in a sample substance. Okay, so yan yung ginagawa sa qualitative analysis. Analytical procedure, we analyze a particular sample, a particular solution via identifying or separating such ions, okay, into individual ions. So kapag sinabing ions, dalawa lang naman yan, di ba? Cations tsaka anions. Okay, so specifically for this experiment, okay, the following anions will be it will be included no sa experiment. So we have the following: the silver ion, the cupric, okay, the cupric ion, okay, and then the barium ion, the sodium ion, and also zinc ion. Okay, I repeat, these are the following ions that you will be analyzing later on, okay, for this experiment. So halimbawa, in a certain test tube, so you have here a test tube, okay, and then all these ions, okay, in a form of test solution, halimbawa, yung test solution ng silver would be silver in a form of silver nitrate. For copper, in a form of cupric sulfate. Okay, for barium, in a form of barium nitrate. Sodium, halimbawa lang, sodium nitrate. Then zinc nitrate. So mga test solution, kumbaga. Hindi naman natin pwedeng ilagay yung single ion sa isang test tube. Dapat in a test solution sila existing. Okay, dapat naka-compound ba, kumbaga. So you have there silver nitrate, cupric sulfate, barium nitrate, sodium nitrate, and zinc nitrate in one test tube. Okay, in one test tube. So, na-mix silang 5. Let's say 3 drops of each 3 drops or 5 drops of each naa sa isang test tube. Okay? Now, in order for us to identify or separate each of these ions, okay, in a sample solution, we have to perform what we call qualitative analysis. Kasi nga, I have mentioned, sa qualitative analysis, we can identify ions by separating them. Okay, by separating them from other substances. Okay, so that is somehow the concept of qualitative analysis, more on identifying ions. So hindi niya concerned or hindi niya covered yung quantity. Iba yung quality sa quantity of substance. Okay, I repeat, kapag qualitative analysis, it has nothing to do with the amount. Okay? It has nothing to do minus, meaning wala siyang relationship to the amount, to the quantity of the sample. But rather, ang qualitative analysis is more on descriptive form siya. Okay? Descriptive form of analysis siya. Yung kaya niya lang or yung main focus niya lang is detecting ions in an aqueous solution. Okay? Yung mismong quality ng solution. Okay? Now, how to separate each of these ions na na-mix na silang lahat? Okay, imagine, you have a silver nitrate, cupric sulfate until zinc nitrate. You mix that in one test tube. How will you separate these ions? Okay, isa-separate natin si silver ion from cupric and from zinc and so forth. How? We will be using precipitating agent. Okay, that is the main characters, main characters sa isang qualitative analytical procedure. Kailangan mo ng precipitating agent, or these are also synonymous to what we call confirmatory agents or reagents. Okay? Para ma-identify natin or para ma-separate natin yung ion na gusto mong i-separate, yung ion of interest na gusto mong i-separate. Okay, so after precipitating, of course, you will form a precipitate. Okay? Kanang precipitate na na-form because of that precipitating agent, yun na yung ion na gusto mong ma-separate from the solution. Okay? So, kapag may precipitating agent na inad, marami kang reaction na pwedeng ma-observe, pwedeng mag-change yung color. Ang pinaka-obvious or visible nga result kapag nag-add ka ng precipitating agent is of course, formation of a precipitate. Diba? Obvious naman, isa siyang precipitating agent. So kapag inad siya sa isang sample, then that ion of interest na gusto niyang i-separate, magfo-form yan ng precipitate. Let me ask you, what is the state of matter kapag precipitate? It is a solid liquid gas. Kapag precipitate, it is very good. It is a solid form. Okay. So kapag solid form in a solution, nakabuo ka ng precipitate, is it meaning soluble on that solution or insoluble? Soluble or insoluble? It is very good. Insoluble, therefore. Kasi nga solid, meaning nabuo siya, okay? Kasi naging solid siya, insoluble siya on that particular solution. Okay? So yan. So please take note of this concept ha. So yan yung concept na maa-apply nyo for this experiment. Okay? So I repeat, these following ions, ito yung mga ions that will be studied. Okay? That will be studied in this experiment. Let me ask you again, are these cations or anions? These are all Yes, so these are all cation. So ibig sabihin, in this activity, we will be separating basic constituents or basic ions into groups, okay? And when we talk about groups, okay, in laboratory, okay, in laboratory field, no, ang mga cations, meron silang 5 groups. Okay, ang mga cations ha, yung mga cations, we can classify them into 5 groups. Okay, based on their reactions, based on their properties. Okay, that is why I have provided you, diba, a copy sa inyong group chat. I hope na-send. May I ask you if na-send ba sa inyo ang Morishag copy or guide ninyo for this activity? The 5 groups of cations, na-send ba sa inyo? Wala? Sa group chat? Wala ba? Are you sure? Na ako'y gisugo ganina. Wala na yung gisend. So naara sa iya. Mao ba? Wait sa sige, ako na lang i-send kay sa zaman nga block gani. For a while. Ayan. Na-send ako sa block A. Palihog kog send sa inyong group chat. Sa group chat. Naa sa group chat daw ninyo, ako tong gisugo ganina or gabi, iba to? Ganina or gabi, nakalimot na ko. Okay? Sige. So yan, ipalihog kong send sa inyong group chat for block A and D yan. Okay? That will serve as your guide, okay, for our pre-lab discussion for this morning. Okay? So yan yung 5 groups of cations. Okay? Now, with regards to that 5 groups of cations, I repeat, nakategorize yan sila into 5 groups based on their reacting groups or based on their characteristics. Okay? Based on their characteristics. So, ibig sabihin, yung kasamahan ng group 1 ions, parehas sila ng characteristics. Parehas sila ng reactions or properties. Okay? Same with group 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay? So let me discuss you this 5 classification or 5 groups of cations. So let's start with group 1. Okay, group 1 cations, please take note. In general, they are known as insoluble chloride groups. Now, that name itself already suggests, no, what particular precipitating agent that must be added to these ions para ma-identify natin sila in a solution. O, sabi dito, di ba? Insoluble, meaning they form a precipitate kapag inadan sila ng chloride substance. That's why yung nakalagay dito, they form precipitate with hydrochloric acid. And hydrochloric acid, it has a chloride, di ba, sa compound niya. So, maghatag ko yung example ha. Okay, let's say for instance, you have a test tube. Okay, and this is being added with silver nitrate. Okay, silver nitrate solution. Now, you wanted to identify or confirm if silver ba talaga yung cation present in that test tube. Okay? In that test tube. So, ato ang i-identify with this precipitating agent. Okay? We can add there hydrochloric acid. Diluted or pwede concentrated, you will form a precipitate here. Kasi ang sabi dito, si silver, isa siyang group 1 cation insoluble chloride group. Meaning it will really form a precipitate. And ano yung precipitate that will form? Criss-cross mo lang siya ha, i-double displacement ra nga reaction. So, pa-apply yung double displacement na nga concept. So, you will form the precipitate silver chloride, yes. And the byproduct, which is in a solution form, the nitric acid. Ano lang na siya. Application sa double displacement. You go back to your notes how to predict product. Okay, kapag double displacement. Okay? Siyempre, ito yung precipitate. By the way, in chemistry, when you write a chemical equation, tapos may mabuong precipitate, arrow down yan. Arrow down, meaning there is a precipitate solid. Etong nitric acid, that remains a solution, no, in the test tube. Okay? So yan yung purpose, no, ng hydrochloric acid in this reaction. Ipe-precipitate out niya yung silver. Okay? So that is the concept here sa grouping. Okay, let's have group 2. Now, by the way, sa group 1, take note, ang mga members sa group 1. Lahat yan insoluble chloride groups. Lead ion, mercury 1. Mercury 1 yan ha, Hg2, 2+. Mercury 1 yan. Then, silver. Para hindi makalimutan, I will share to you my mnemonics. How did I memorize the following group of cations? For group 1, my mnemonics here is merciless. Okay, merciless. Group 1. Meaning, mercury 1. Okay, mercury 1. So you have to memorize the ion form of mercury 1. Si for silver, Le for lead. So, merciless. Di ba may word na merciless? So, in-spell out ko na lang siya based on the ions present in group 1 para matandaan ko nga group 1, merciless. Mercury 1, silver, and lead ion. Okay, so again, they are insoluble chloride groups. Okay, next. Group 2 ions tayo. Group 2 cations ha. Group 2 cations. Sila naman, they are also known as acid insoluble sulfide. So how do you interpret this based on their general name? Insoluble meaning they form a precipitate when they are added with sulfide compound in an what environment? Acid or base? Ano sabi? Acid. Question, kapag acid, low pH, high pH. Acid is very good. So low pH. So yan yung tandaan nyo kapag group 2 cation. They will form a precipitate in the presence of sulfide compound. Ano yung example ng sulfide compound? Halimbawa, the gas dihydrogen sulfide. So may sulfide, tama, sa compound niya. Another example is ammonium sulfide. Okay? May sulfide din. As long as may sulfide, these are the two most common na sulfides or precipitating sulfides, no, for these ions, okay, for this group of cations. So always remember, group 2 cations, sila yung acid insoluble sulfide. They form a precipitate in the presence of a sulfide at an acidic environment. Ano example ng acids? HCl, sulfuric acid. So nga na, basta may acid tapos may sulfide, ang ma-precipitate out natin group 2 cation. Okay, so these are the following ions under group 2. Mercury 2, Hg2 plus, so that's mercury 2. Bismuth 3 plus, copper 2 plus, or cupric, cadmium, etc., etc. So how did I memorize this? So yung mnemonics ko naman for group 2 cations, medyo weird yung mga mnemonics ko ha, but it will help, no? Mnemonics sa mga medical students, that is our key, no, for survival. Sige, so let's have group 2 cations. Yung mnemonics ko po dito is si antimers. Okay, si antimers, gabi ko, kada oras. Please take note of those letters that I emphasized or ako asyang uppercase. Yun yung mga cations. Sige ha. So let's have an. Yung an dyan is antimony. Asan si antimony dyan? SB. SB, yan yung antimony. Tama? Yung TI dyan, tin. Asan yung tin? SN. That is the symbol, di ba? Elemental symbol ng tin. Mers ulit, mers. Mercury 2. Now this time, since group 2, alalahanin nyo na lang, MERS dyan is mercury 2. Kasi group 2 na tayo. Okay? Then BI, B dyan is for bismuth. Bismuth ion. Alright? And then CU dyan would be copper. And yung CAD dyan is cadmium. Then yung AS, arsenic. Okay? So somehow yung mnemonics will help, no? Yung part nyo na lang is to memorize the ions. Ano yung charge ng ions. And from the beginning, no, sa ato ang klase, I let you memorize these ions. So somehow you are already familiar with the value of their charges. Okay? So si antimers, gabi ko kada oras, miski weird siya, but help, no, ang mnemonics na to. So acid insoluble sulfide sila. Okay, that's why yung nakalagay dito sa rightmost part, characteristic nila, they do not react with HCl, but they form precipitate with dihydrogen sulfide in acidic medium. But often, are selected ions dyan that also form precipitate with ammonium sulfide in a neutral or ammoniacal solution. Pero pili lang. But in general, again, okay, just take note of this. Sa isang acid environment with sulfide compound, ammonium sulfide ba or dihydrogen sulfide, these ions will be precipitated. Okay, so halimbawa, the ion, halimbawa lang ha, you mixed silver nitrate, example, 3 drops of silver nitrate, and then 3 drops also of cupric, let's say cupric sulfate. Okay, and then you wanted to separate here from this test tube, you wanted to separate copper ion. So ano yung precipitating that you'll be adding sa test tube na to? Letter A, HCl, or letter B, hydrogen sulfide in an acidic medium? A or B? Very good. It's letter B. Okay, so you have to add here hydrogen sulfide, or let's say the ammonium sulfide, okay, in an acidic environment. So let's say, paano ba? Asa di na maglibog na mo, no? So ako erase ha. Tarong sa nato ang equation. Dito na lang. Okay? So I repeat. Okay, you have a test tube. Silver nitrate mixed with cupric sulfate. So gusto mo ma-separate si copper, then simply add, no? Add sulfide compound. So halimbawa ng solution form of sulfide is ammonium sulfide. And what is the pH? Low pH kasi acidic environment. So ano yung example ng compound na pwedeng mag-acidify ng environment dito? Halimbawa HCl, ayan, sulfuric acid. So depende yan. Okay, sa mismong procedure. Okay? But again, itong HCl na to, it will not react to the ion of interest. Ang magre-react lang po talaga is yung main precipitating agent. So, i-double displacement mo yan. Ito lang, si cupric sulfate, then plus ammonium sulfide. So, what would be the precipitate form? Cupric sulfide. Okay? Then what is the byproduct? Ano yung byproduct? Ammonium sulfate. Okay? Ammonium sulfate. Yan, double displacement lang yun na siya ha. Double displacement concept. Okay? So yung copper cation, yung anion na niya is si sulfide. For ammonium cation, yung anion na niya, sulfate. That's the concept, diba, of double displacement. Baliktaran pagpapalit ng cations and ions. Okay, next. Done with group 2, let's proceed to group 3, cations. Okay, so group 3 cations, take note, they are also known as base insoluble sulfide. O halos the same sila ng precipitating agent with group 2. Kaso, in what environment? In a basic environment. Diba? Yung kanina sa group 2, sulfide din, but acid. This time, group 3 yan kapag they precipitate in the presence of a sulfide but basic environment. O kapag basic environment, high or low pH? Yes, it is high pH. Okay? So ano yung mga ng mga bases na pwedeng mag-alkalinize sa environment? So pwedeng you have halimbawa ammonium hydroxide. So pwede yan as long as may OH, 'di ba? 'Di ba? In general, basic yan kapag may OH. Sodium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, but this is the most common. Most common na a basic solution, okay? To make the solution higher yung pH niya. Okay? Sige. So same lang gyapon ng sulfide. Same lang ang sulfide, pwedeng hydrogen sulfide or ammonium sulfide. Okay? So dyan lang sila nakaiba sa environment. So these are the following ions under group 3. Iron 2, iron 3, aluminum 3+, chromium 3+, nickel, cobalt, manganese, and what is that? That's zinc. Zinc na siya. Okay? So yung mnemonics naman dito, so weird na pod kaayo ni nga mnemonics, but sige lang, it will help, no? So mnemonics for group 3, cation, Z, Nico, ug, fe, ala, man, sa CR. Yung mga mnemonics ko no kay Bisaya, so if ever you are a unsa man ka Tagalog imong language or na English era diri di gid mo ka relate. So it's up to you what will be your mnemonics no para mas mapadali yung memorization mo dito. But ako bisdak man gid ko. So what I did is I try to isip-isip noon sa kahaang maayo para di na ko siya malimtan. Okay? So mo ni siya akong mnemonics, so I will be sharing it to you. Z, Nico, og Fe, Alaman sa CR. So try natin i-check if present lahat ng ions listed sa group 3. Z for zinc. Ni for nickel, CO for cobalt, Fe, for iron, Oops, what happened? Okay. Ayan. I'm sorry. Ayan. And then al, that's for aluminum. Okay, aluminum. Manganese, Mn. Manganese is Mn. Then Cr dyan, Cr would be chromium. Cr dyan would be chromium. So again, these are the ions, no? Ions that precipitate, okay, in the presence of a sulfide at a basic environment. So pwede in the presence of ammonium hydroxide, ammonia, ayan. So ayan. Okay, that's why it is stated there. It formed precipitate with ammonium sulfide in ammoniacal solution. Ammonia is a base, no? So that will serve as, that will make the environment basic. Okay, so halimbawa ulit. Okay. So let's have three solutions na yung na-mix mo. Silver nitrate, cupric sulfate, then you added yung group 3 doon, si zinc. No, si zinc, 'di ba, is a group 3. Zinc nitrate. So nani sila in one test tube. 3 drops each, 3 drops. So na-mix sila. Then you wanted to separate zinc. From that solution. Then you add a precipitating agent kung saan favorable na pwedeng ma-precipitate out, ma-separate si zinc. And that is via adding a sulfide compound, diba? So halimbawa, ammonium sulfide ulit. Okay? But this time, in a basic or acidic environment. Base or acid? In a basic environment. Okay, so halimbawa ng pwedeng magpapa-base sa environment would be ammonium hydroxide. Sino lang yung mag-react ngayon kay zinc nitrate? Si ammonium sulfide lang, ha? Si ammonium sulfide lang. Ang role lang talaga dito ni ammonium hydroxide to make the reaction basic. Okay? Now, if I were to let you identify in general sa question, what is the best precipitating agent for zinc cation? Hindi pwedeng ammonium sulfide lang yung ibigay mo. Kasi kapag precipitating agent, full package dapat yan. Yes, ammonium sulfide. Pero sa anong environment niya? Acid ba or base? Kasi may ions na pwedeng ma-precipitate in an acid, pwedeng dili siya ma-precipitate sa base. So may ganun. So dapat full package yung i-answer nyo. Ammonium sulfide in a basic environment. So yan yung best precipitating agent for group 3 cation, halimbawa si zinc. Okay, so what would you expect nga precipitate here? Double displacement ulit. Zinc nitrate plus ammonium sulfide, what are the products that you will get? So you have, ayan, so red na lang, zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide, siya yung precipitate kasi nga yung ion, okay, yung ion na gusto mong maging insoluble, okay, precipitate out ni sulfide. Kaya ang zinc sulfide yung precipitate dyan. Then yung isa, mananatiling solution, mananatiling liquid. Okay, and that is the ammonium nitrate. Sorry. Wala palang subscript. Medya ha. Ayan. So lahi ang kaka-erase. Ayan. Gahang siya ha. Okay na yan. Zinc sulfide ay ammonium nitrate. Alright? So this is the byproduct. Liquid form. Okay? So that is the complete. Pero yung kapag tinanong, ano yung precipitate, ito lang yung precipitate. Yan lang yung precipitate. Okay, sige, let's have group 4. Okay, so ulit ha, yung mnemonics dito, ziniko og fe, alaman sa CR. Okay? Sige, next. Okay, group 4, cation. So medyo madali na lang yung group 4 at saka group 5 kasi pakonte na lang yung cations din eh. Okay? Sige, so group 4, cations, they are also known as, take note, base-insoluble carbonates. So kapag base-insoluble carbonates, they precipitate in the presence of carbonates at basic environment. Or they are also known as acid-insoluble sulfates. So kapag acid-insoluble sulfates naman, ibig sabihin, they form a precipitate in the presence of a sulfate compound at a basic environment. Diba? Based on their general name lang, kaya ni mo ma-identify kailan natin sila pwedeng ma-identify, ma-separate out, no, in a solution. Okay, kailangan lang natin ng carbonate at a basic environment or a sulfate at an acidic environment. So what are the ions under group 4? We have barium, calcium, and strontium. Okay, so pwedeng wala ng mnemonics dito or kung gusto nyo may mnemonics, so I will share it again. No? So ang mnemonics naman dito is yung Sir, baka naman. Okay, di ba na expression before na, Sir, baka naman, Ma'am, baka naman. Okay, so ako na lang siyang giadan og naman. Para naman medyo, ma'am, ako yung input bitaw. So, kaluoy sa Ginoo hantod karon gikan sa akong 5 years na biya ko, no? Halos mag 5 years na ako mag-teach, di po na ako siya malimtan. So, it will help nun, di ninyo malimtan ang mnemonics. Okay, so yan yung mnemonics ko when I was still at your age, no? So, Sir, baka naman. So, strontium, barium, at saka calcium. Sila ulit yung 4. Group 4 cations. Group 4 cations. Base-insoluble carbonates. Acid-insoluble sulfates. Okay? Okay, next. So, paghatag example, ayun na. Okay? So, halimbawa na lang ng mga carbonates. Okay? So, halimbawa, sa carbonates, you could have ammonium carbonate. So, pwedeng ganon, ammonium carbonate. Sa sulfate, pwede din naman ammonium sulfate or sulfuric acid. Okay? Sulfuric acid alone, pwede.
Okay, so when you click
Okay, as long as may sulfate, you can extract sulfate from that solution. Kasi 'di ba, sulfuric acid alone, may sulfate ka na, acidic na siya. Acidic na siya in the first place. Okay? Then ammonium, ito naman, pwede din sila mag-separate, precipitate in the presence of ammonium carbonate. Kasi if you try to check the compound, no, formula ng compound, may carbonate na, then may ammonium. Ammonium is basic, di ba? Ammonium is basic. Ayan. So these are the ions ulit under group 4 cations. And the last on the list, sila naman yung soluble group. Okay? Sila naman yung soluble group. So, group 5 naman sila. Okay. Question. Kapag soluble, will it form precipitate? Yes or no? Soluble, will it form precipitate? Yes or no? No. Very good. Okay, very good. So, soluble sila kasi, take note, they do not react. They do not form precipitate in any of the reagent being stated above. Ano yung mga reagent na mention kanina, 'di ba? We have HCl, okay? We have ammonium sulfide. Ayun, dili sila mo precipitate in the presence of this, no? These substances, okay, or this precipitating agent, carbonates or sulfates, hindi. Okay? Instead, meron po silang individual nga mga precipitating agent. Kaya ang sa tawag sa kanila soluble. Okay, soluble sila in general. Kasi iba-iba yung mga precipitating agent. Meron silang individual no na characteristic or precipitating agent. So halimbawa for sodium ion, it will form a yellow precipitate with cobalt uranyl acetate. For potassium, for potassium naman, it will form a white precipitate with sodium bitartrate. Diba? As you can observe, iba-iba. Okay, iba-iba yung mga precipitating agent nila. Wala silang universal. Doon lang sila nag-unite sa tatlong na mention na precipitating agent kung saan hindi sila nagre-react to that mentioned nga mga precipitating agent. They will not form a precipitate. So soluble group sila. Okay, then we also have ammonium ion naman, it will alkalinized vapor, yung alkalinized vapor ng ammonium ion, it will turn the red litmus paper to blue. Okay, by the way, with regards to red litmus paper, maybe you have encountered this sa inyong other nga labs, okay? Or maybe sa second year niyo siya ma-encounter. Yung inyo halang dumduman basta magamit mo og litmus paper is bra. Okay? Dalawa lang kasi yung kulay ng litmus paper. Okay? Dalawa lang yung kulay ng litmus paper. Blue, tsaka red. Okay? Now, kung alam mo yung bra na yan, you will know the concept of litmus paper. Yung litmus paper kasi it will identify if a compound is basic, if a compound or is acidic. Okay, litmus paper. Okay, so kapag nagsimula ka sa blue litmus paper, okay, then you try to dip that in a solution, then it turns red, from blue naging red ang litmus paper, then that solution is acidic. Okay, that solution is acidic. So kana lang ang mnemonics ninyo. Meaning, kung red ang iyang final nga color sa litmus paper, acidic yan. Kung red to red, acidic. Blue to red, acidic. As long as red iyang ultimate nga or end result, okay, acidic yan. Sobra. Kung blue naman to blue, edi yung kabaliktaran. Okay? Ang inyo ramang na-memorize na mnemonics is bra. So meaning, yung kabaliktaran, kapag blue to blue, then basic yun. Okay? Or red to blue, blue ang ending na color sa red litmus paper, then basic yun. Okay? Sige. So again, for group 5, cations, you have here the soluble group. Mnemonics naman dito is although this is bad, no? Magnakaw sa amo. Basta maura na akong mnemonics na nahuna-hunaan, no? Magnakaw sa amo. So you have magnesium, sodium, K for potassium, then amo for ammonium. Again, soluble group ito sila. Nakuha? For soluble group, the best way to identify them is using flame test. Okay, flame test. So we have a separate nga activity with regards to flame testing. Okay, so sige lang. Utang ko muna yan sa inyo. Basta kay just know for now that the best way to identify ions na soluble group, okay, is via flame testing. Okay? Sige. So that would be the concept, no, for this experiment. Okay? Separation of basic constituents into groups. Okay, nakuha? Ayan. So, at this juncture, I will be sharing now. Please take note this ha, Group 4 and Group 5. Si Group 4 and Group 5, serba ka naman, then magnakaw sa amo. Okay? Now, I will now be sharing the recorded experiment. Okay, para atong ma-hand-eye or namoy question ba sa mismong video ato dayong matubag. Okay? So, dali lang. Is it visible already? Yes or no? Visible na ba? Visible ang video?
No, ma'am.
Dili pa? Visible na? Sige. Okay, so wala lang ni siya music, unsa na music or background or unsa tawag ana. Kay nag-share screen ramang ko. Basta mag-share screen man gyud og MP4. Ang makita ra is ang screen. Sige, I will just discuss na lang unsay kahitabo. Alright? Sige. So I hope visible na ang akong screen. Let me know ha, i-open lang inyong mic. Ang akong gakakita ra sa akong screen is ang mismong video. Okay, so just open your mic if dili siya visible or dili ko madunggan. Alright? Kadali. Okay. Kay gakabungol ko sa ano. Ayan. Okay. Mabasa ba ang procedure 1.1? Palihog kog basa if mabasa Mr. Nathaniel. Si Nathaniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go.
Procedure 1.1, place in a test tube 5 drops of each of the following test tube solutions containing silver, copper 2, zinc, barium, and sodium.
Okay, thank you, Nathaniel. Okay, in your procedure 1, it is stated naman sa worksheet 4. You can open worksheet 4. I uploaded worksheet 4 that will serve as your lab guide. It is all stated. Kung ako na po na siyang gibutang dere para na mo'y guide what happens in the demo. Okay, sa mismong video. Okay, so first procedure, you have 5 test solutions. 5 test solutions. Silver ion, ang test solution ani is in a form of silver nitrate. Okay, silver nitrate. Pakisulat ha. You know already how to write the compound. Okay, the formula of the compound. Copper is in a form of cupric sulfate. Cupric sulfate. Then zinc dyan, it is present in a form of zinc nitrate. Zinc nitrate. Then ito din yung barium in a form of barium nitrate. Then sodium in a form of sodium nitrate. Okay? Kasi hindi naman pwedeng sa solution cation lang alone. Dapat sila existing in a syempre yung stable form nila. Hindi na yan stable kapag Ag+ lang, no? So again, these are the cations that you will be studying for this activity. Silver, copper, zinc, barium, and sodium. So you now have ideas saan sila na-classify based on the 5 groups that I have discussed. No? Sige, let me ask you, silver ion, anong grupo siya? In your notes. You open lang your mic ha. I cannot see the chat box mong good. It is? Yes, group 1. Very good. What about copper 2+? It is in group?
Group 2, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Very good, group 2. What about zinc 2+?
Group 3.
Okay, tama. Group 3. Barium.
Group 4, ma'am.
Okay, so yung natira, sodium ion. Remember, magnakaw sa amo nakaw. So si sodium part of group 5. So iba-iba yung grupo nila. And take note, iba-iba yung characteristic nila. Iba-iba yung precipitating agent nila. So dito sa procedure 1, take note, in a test tube. Isa lang yung test tube. 5 drop of each test solution was placed in one test tube. So na-mix sila. 5 drops each. Ano yung goal natin sa experiment na to? Separation of each ions into groups. Okay, so somehow you have ideas already. So ato na-mix na. Halimbawa, may 5 each na. 5 each, 5 each. So ako lang i-fast forward ha. Okay. Okay, next procedure, pakibasa 1.2. Kinsa may magbasa, kinsa mag-volunteer. Sabi ako na lang magtawag. Okay, sige, pakibasa Jason. Naba si Jason? Procedure 1.2. Wala? Sige. Kinsa man akong tawagon. Bilisod kayo nang dito ka-memorize, no?
Ma'am.
Okay. Sige. Sige, pakibasa. Procedure 1.2.
Add 1 to 2 drops of 2N HCl at a time until precipitation seems complete. Stir and centrifuge.
Okay. Sige, thank you. 2N, that is simply a concentration. No? Normality yan, normality. Na-discuss naman yata yan sa inyong pharmaceutical calculations. Okay? So, 2N, ayaw lang na siya i-mind, basta kay concentration yan ng solution HCl. So, just go with the compound, the precipitating agent. So, take note, meron na kang isang test tube, di ba? 5 ions ang minix natin dito sa isang test tube. Ang first nga precipitating agent na inad is HCl. Let me ask you, anong grupo ng cations na yung precipitating agent nila is chloride?
1.
Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
One,
Very good. Okay, very good. Group 1. Okay? So you know already, sino sa 5 cations ang mape-precipitate out or ma-separate out from 5 cations using HCl? Which do you think? You type in your answer. Anong ion ang mape-precipitate out? Sa 5. Very good. The silver ion. Okay, when you identify ion you have to write the ion word, or when you write its formula, dapat Ag+. Ag+, the ion form. Kasi ion yung tinanong Ion yung tinanong. Remember, ion is a charged atom. Okay? Sige. So, okay na tayo dyan. So, na-precipitate out. Ilan na lang nang natira kung na-precipitate out si silver? 4 na lang. Si copper na lang, zinc, barium, at sodium. Okay? So, yan yung concept sa... by the way, what is this equipment? Okay, yung equipment na yan, ayan. Okay, ako i-place kadjot. Saan naman naghang naman Ayan. Okay, yung equipment na yan, that is centrifuge. Okay, na my word. Ayan, centrifuge. Centrifuge, that is a laboratory device that is used to separate fluids, that is used to separate liquid from solid. Okay? And yung concept na pinaggagamitan ni centrifuge to separate solid from liquid is gravity. Meaning, pinupull niya down yung solid. Kaya mapapadali natin yung separation ng solid to liquid. Okay, so centrifuge again laboratory device used to separate fluid from solid based on gravity. Yung ang ano lang dito, yung nangyayari dyan, di ba may mga vessel, kung saan nilalagay yung test tube, iikot yan. Depende kung anong speed ang sinet mo. Okay? Kung anong revolution or speed yung sinet mo. Mas ma-appreciate yun ninyo siya kung actual. But we have no choice. Dito maka-go sa Paseo, sa Liceo laboratory kasi nga due to restriction. Sige lang. At least somehow you would appreciate what is the use of this equipment sa lab. Basta this is used to separate liquid from solid based on gravity. So iikot yan yung nasa loob. Okay? Then mapupull down yung mga solid. Okay? Kaya pagdating ng tingnan, di ba kanina cloudy yung solution? But ngayon, if we focus, ayan, dili ma-focus, oops, ayan, medyo na-focus na siya slide, Diba? Clear na yung nasa taas na liquid. Unlike kanina, turbid turbid kanina, nagsagol pa, na mix pa masyado yung solid tsaka liquid, mahihirapan tayo mag-separate doon. But with centrifuge, no, mapupull down yung mga solid, okay? Mas-separate siya sa liquid. So yan yung purpose ng centrifuge. Okay? So ang ginawa lang dito is we tested the completeness of precipitation. So I added more and more HCl para ma-precipitate out talaga lahat ng silver ion. Okay, ma-precipitate out lahat ng silver ion. So yun na yun. So itong precipitate na to, let me ask you ulit, 'di ba? HCl yung inad sa preliminary. Ano nga ulit yung ion present in this precipitate? Ano yung ion present in this precipitate? In this white colored precipitate, it is silver ion. Okay, tama. Silver ion, very good. Okay, so okay na tayo sa silver. Nawala na si silver, na-separate na natin siya. Okay? Sige, padayon ta. So in here, I will transfer the filtrate. Ang tawag dyan sa liquid na natira, di ba, precipitate yung kulay white, yung solid. Yung tubig dyan, yung solution na tubig is water, di ba? Yung solution pala, yung solution na natira dyan, that is the filtrate. Okay? Filtrate, yan yung solution left after precipitation. Filtrate. Okay. Ako rin siyang gitest ang completeness. Nag-add ako more ng HCl. Kung wala ng precipitate, then ibig sabihin completely na precipitate out na natin si silver ion. Okay, eto na. Procedure 1.3 tayo. I place the filtrate in an evaporating dish. Take note, etong filtrate na to, ilang ion pa yung natira dito? Ilang ions ang natira dito? Tanong yun ha. Very good, 4. Okay, 4 na ions. Okay, so ito yung procedure 1.3. I evaporate it to almost dryness. Okay, evaporate to almost dryness. Just go with the key precipitating agent. Ano yung next precipitating agent na inad? Okay. Okay. Nag-lag siya. Ako na lang. Ayan. Okay, eto na. I added, take note, I added 1 drop of HCl. Take note ha, HCl, 1 drop only. And sufficient water. So steer na yun, gi-steer siya. Oh, ayan. Oops, ayan. Okay. And what I added actually is not hydrogen sulfide. Kasi yung hydrogen sulfide, if you search it, it is a gas. Gas po yung hydrogen sulfide. Wala po tayong gas, no? Or storage ng gas solution, gas ng mga states or compounds sa sa laboratory natin. So, ang gi-add ani is ammonium sulfide. So parehas lang. Sulfide compound pa rin yan, di ba? I have emphasized that sa kanina, no? Hydrogen sulfide or ammonium sulfide, parehas lang yan, sulfide compounds. Okay, question, at what environment gani siya gi-add? Ang ammonium sulfide, I added here ammonium sulfide, but at what environment? Base or acid? Base or acid? Very good. Acid. Kasi tingnan, 1 drop of HCl. HCl, hydrochloric acid yan, di ba? So you have an ammonium sulfide with hydrochloric acid. Okay, question. Anong ion from 4 na natira? Anong ion kaya ang maseseparate sa 4 na natira? Very good. Cupric ion. Because cupric ion is an acid insoluble sulfide. It will precipitate out in the presence of sulfide, acidic environment. Very good. Okay, at least you understand the concept of this activity. Okay, so tingnan, may precipitate. Yang mga na-precipitate, yung blackish, no? Form na yan later on. Okay? Yan yung precipitate. Okay, so sige lang, maklaro na ninyo later on sa color sa precipitate pag centrifuge. So yan na yan. Okay, ako i-fast forward. So ako siyang gi-centrifuge ulit. O, tingnan. O, question, anong kulay ng precipitate?
Black.
Very good, black. Ano ulit yung ion na na-precipitate out? Anong ion ulit? Yung nasa kulay black na yan, it is?
Cupric ion.
Okay, very good. Cupric ion, very good. Okay, so ilan na lang yung natira? Sa filtrate, 3.
3.
Ana lang, very good. So itong clear, di ba? Clear na yan, di lang maklaro. Okay, clear na nga solution ito. Please ko turn off sa microphone. Miss Can. Yes, question. Sige. So itong clear part na to, filtrate, ayan, ulit yan ha. 3 na lang yung natirang ions. Continue pa rin tayo mag-separate. So wala na si silver, wala na si cupric ion, 3 na lang yung natira. Zinc, barium, tsaka sodium. Clear na yan. Tingnan nyo ha. Clear na yung precipitate. Precipitate. Clear na yung filtrate. Ayan. As you can see. Okay, so that's the purpose, no, of centrifuge. Okay, kung di na to siya i-centrifuge, dili clear atong makuha nga filtrate. Dili na to ma-separate fully, no, fully ang precipitate nga kulay black. Okay? Sige, forward na ako ha. Dito na tayo sa 1.4. Procedure 1.4. Ito naman, nag-advance. Ayan. So from that filtrate, sige, it's experiment 4 ha. It's experiment 4. Ayan. To that filtrate obtained sa procedure 1.3, ito na. It is being added with ammonium chloride and ayan, it is alkalinized. Take note. It has been alkalinized with ammonium hydroxide. And then it was saturated again with, again ha, inyo na siyang pulihan. Hydrogen sulfide, pulihin na siya og ammonium sulfide. Parehas raman sad inyong makuha nga precipitate. Sulfide form ramang gihapon inyong makuha nga precipitate ana. Okay? So take note, the precipitating agent here, ammonium sulfide, please ha, i-edit lang niya siya, ammonium sulfide and in a basic environment, ammonium hydroxide. Okay, question, sa 3 natirang ion sa filtrate, ano kaya yung mas-separate this time with ammonium sulfide at a basic environment? Very good. It's zinc because zinc is a base insoluble sulfide ion. Okay, so nakuha. Okay, nakuha. Sige. So ayan, 'di ba? May precipitate 'yan. Basta kay mag-change na yung color na kay makita ng mga changes, no, upon adding, that is already, no, indication na na-separate natin yung ion of interest na gusto nating i-separate from that solution. Sige. So, centrifuge ulit. And ito na yung result. Diba? As you can see, diba blackish yun? But pag centrifuge, tingnan, anong kulay ng precipitate? Kulay white. Okay? Ano ulit yung ion na na-precipitate dito?
Zinc.
Zinc ion.
Zinc. Okay, zinc. Zinc ion. Very good. Anong kulay? White.
White.
So this is the color of zinc sulfide. Okay? Kapag precipitate, yung mismong precipitate ha, yung zinc sulfide. Okay? Sige. So ilan na lang yung natira? Dalawa. Dalawa na lang yung natira. Ano yung natirang ion? Sige nga. Ano yung natirang ion? Sa filtrate. Sa filtrate. Ano yung natirang ion sa filtrate?
Barium and sodium.
Very good. Barium tsaka sodium. So ito ulit yung filtrate. Ito na yung filtrate. Sabi, evaporate almost to dryness. Ako lang siya i-forward ha. Mara tagaluto diri no. Siya ako talaga forward. Dito na ta diretso sa mga key precipitating agent. Okay? So it has been added with ammonium hydroxide. Okay, may ammonium hydroxide. Okay, fast forward lang. Okay. And then, ayan. And then added with ammonium carbonate. Tingnan, ammonium carbonate. O, itong 95% ethyl alcohol, this will only add alkalinity sa solution. Just focus on the precipitating agent and what is the environment. Basic. Diba? Ammonium carbonate, basic yan. Okay, basic. O, question. Ano yung ion? Sa dalawang natira, ano yung ion that will be separated with this precipitating agent, ammonium carbonate? Very good. Very good. It's barium. Anong yung pangalan ng precipitate? Barium carbonate. Ang pangalan ng precipitate is barium carbonate. Inyo lang kwaon ha, ang iyahang double displacement product. Okay, you add barium nitrate, di ba? Ang test solution is barium nitrate plus ammonium carbonate. Okay, so the precipitate is barium carbonate. And let's try to find out what is the color of the precipitate. Okay. So i-find out. Ato i-fast forward na. Hindi na tayo maglangay. Pero inyo i-fast forward. O ano yung kulay? Barium carbonate. Tingnan, ano yung kulay? Ano yung kulay? Maklaro ba sa inyo, ba? Sige, ano yung kulay?
White.
Okay, very good. White. Barium carbonate, kulay white. Okay? Sige. And from that, di ba, na-precipitate na yung apat. Sino yung natira dito sa taas, sa filtrate? Ano yung ion na natira dito sa filtrate?
Sodium.
Very good. Very good. No? Ano ba yung group ni sodium? Group
5.
5. Ano yung other name ng group 5?
Soluble group.
Very good. Soluble. Hindi siya nagre-react sa HCl, sa ammonium sulfide, sa bicarbonate. So ito na yun. Finokus ko na ano yung kulay ng mga precipitate. So 1.2, kulay white. Ito yung sa silver. No, silver chloride to, yung precipitate, kulay white. So binigay ko na lahat ng answer. So make sure nga tama yung sagot nyo. Ito yung cupric sulfide, di ba? Kulay black, no? Then ano yung next? Zinc sulfide, no? So 1.5, di ba? Zinc sulfide, kulay white. At yung last, barium carbonate. So yan, nag-play pa siya. Ayan, kulay white din. Barium carbonate. Nakuha. So yung natira, what is the ion left? Sodium ion. Diba? Sodium ion. Oh, ito yung filtrate na natira. Meaning, ang nandyan is the sodium ion. Diba? So with that, we have achieved the... na-end ba? Ayan. Okay, so with that, we have achieved the main objective of this activity to separate basic constituents into groups. Okay, so I will now share the worksheet 4. No, ayan. So sa worksheet 4, so you know already how to answer this portion, no? Ito, what is the color of the precipitate? Anong ion? Kapag ion ha, with charge. Example, Ag+, Cu2+, ayan. Or kung word yung binigay mo, di silver ion, cupric ion, ayan. Oh, ito yung mga ions, di ba? 5 lahat yung ions that you have studied. So ilagay nyo dito, silver ion, ilagay nyo plus, silver, paano ba yung plus? Shift plus. Okay. Basta kay silver plus. Kani cupric Okay, the Cu2 plus, Zn2 plus, ano pa yung ion? The barium, no? 2 plus, and last, sodium 2 plus. So, yun yung siyang i-identify. Group number, ano yung group number nila? Bantay na ako'y makita nga group number sa periodic table, ha? Basta na ako'y makita si silver group 13, si sodium group 1, alkali metal. Yung group number dito, ito yung 5 groupings nila. Diba? 5 groups ramanta. Group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So, dapat, makita na ako dili until 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lang. Si silver, anong group siya? 1. Si sodium, anong group siya? 5. So, sa precipitating agent, no, depende yan kung ano yung ginamit dyan or ginamit ko talaga. So, please take note ha, yung ammonium sulfide dyan. Change that to, yung dihydrogen sulfide dyan, change that to ammonium sulfide. Change that to ammonium sulfide. Okay, so precipitating agent, you have to be specific. Okay, so kapag sinabing nilagay mo ammonium sulfide, what environment? Okay, acidic. So pwedeng ilagay mo ano yung acid solution na ginamit. So ammonium sulfide with HCl. Ammonium sulfide with ammonium hydroxide. Ganoon. Okay? Equation. Ito yung equation. Yung complete equation. Like for example, ano yung test solution natin sa silver? Di ba? Silver nitrate. So silver nitrate plus the precipitating agent, which is HCl. So silver nitrate plus hydrochloric acid, then give the product. Kasi equation yung hiningi. No? Then double displacement. Okay? Then, from that equation, makukuha mo yung pangalan ng precipitate. And sa recorded video that I have shown earlier, makukuha mo yung color of the precipitate. Okay? Sige, question. This is for your individual activity, ha? This is your individual activity. Worksheet 4. Wala na siya. Ayan. Sige na, amoy question. Sige, question.
Ma'am, excuse me, unsa man ito equation nga ma'am?
Oo, equation. Ay, sabi. Sa equation, ano yung nireact? Diba? Halimbawa, equation. Ano yung nilagay mo dito na ion? Silver ion. Ano yung test solution na ginamit natin sa silver ion? Diba? Silver nitrate. Okay, diba? Sinulat naman kanina, diba? Silver nitrate. So, ano yung precipitating ng silver nitrate? Sige, may I ask you, ano yung precipitating agent ng silver nitrate? Sa procedure, makikita mo sa procedure. Diba? So, first procedure, you added HCl. So, ano yung magre-react sa HCl among these 5 ions? The silver ion. Any form of its test solutions. This is silver nitrate. Added with HCl, ano yung product? So, you get the double displacement product. So, silver nitrate plus HCl, then it's your responsibility already to answer what is the product. So, that's the complete equation. So, from that complete equation, you can answer the precipitate. Okay? Makuha ni mo asa ang precipitate. Katong na silver. Kaya na-precipitate out man si silver. So, katong na silver sa product, yan yung precipitate. Sige. Very good. Okay? So, kung copper, di ba, ang next is copper. Copper ion, the copper 2+. O ano yung test solution na ginamit natin dito sa equation na to? Di ba, cupric sulfate. Di ba sabi ko, cupric sulfate yung copper ion natin dito. In a form of, yung copper ion natin, in a form of a test solution, cupric sulfate. O, yung question natin ngayon, anong precipitating agent yung magre-react or saang compound or solution magre-react si copper ion? Yun sa ammonium sulfide with HCl. Kasi isa siyang acid insoluble sulfide, di ba? So yan yung makikita ko dapat sa equation. Then you give the product. Yung kanina, na-discuss ko naman kanina, di ba? Sa ato ang pre-lab discussion, yung equation. Okay, na dito. Sige. Sige, you have other question? Sige, other question so that I will give you time to answer na. Do we need to do metathesis or okay-radil? Yes, kasi kapag equation, di ba, you have to write the formula. Ang equation ba? Okay, akong ikon. Kapag equation, ha? Akong ibalik kaning akong gi-share screen a while ago. Kapag sinabing equation, it's the formula of the compounds. You have a compound, another compound, then you have an arrow to the product, then you predict the product. That is the equation. Complete equation. Ayan. Okay. This is an example of an equation, diba? You have silver nitrate. Nakita man yata, no? Ayan. Okay. Ayan, silver nitrate. Ito, silver nitrate is the test solution of silver, di ba, na ginamit sa experiment natin. So, silver nitrate, saan siya magre-react? Sa HCl. So, get the product, no? Predict the product. So, the product is silver chloride plus HNO3. So, nitric acid yung byproduct. So, this is the whole complete equation. Ito yung equation na hinihingi sa inyuhang activity. Okay? Sige, you can identify naman what is being added. Naka-answer gani mo unsa nga ion ang mo precipitate out. So, inyo lang siyang himuon into equation form. Okay? Or complete reaction. And from that equation, diba, from this equation, you can identify saan dito yung precipitate. Siyempre, yung may ion of interest, yung silver chloride, yan yung precipitate. So kapag tinanong kayo, what is the name of the precipitate? Silver chloride. Okay, so yan yung nandito sa, ayan. Ito yun. Name or color of the precipitate. Makuha na nimo siya sa equation ang name of the precipitate. Name ha, kapag sinabing name yung pangalan, hindi yung formula. Sa equation, mga formula yung makikita dito. Formula. And then, pagdating sa name, yung pangalan na, no, ng precipitate, only ha, precipitate. With the color. The color is given already, no, sa video. Sige. Other question? Wala na question? Sige. So all the materials are already uploaded. The video is can be accessed sa YouTube channel. Worksheet 4 uploaded already. Individual activity yan. And then for laboratory output, okay, yung leader lang ulit yung magsasabit. The rest of the members simply click mark as done, no, kung tapos na nakapag-submit na yung leader. So yun lang. Okay? Sige. Okay, I think wala na may tanong. So that would be all for this morning. Please make use of our time this morning, no? Haba pa, may 1 hour and 30 minutes kapin pa mo to finish your individual activity. So why not, no, use that time instead of scrolling, no, sa inyong Facebook, or instead of kanang magbilar mo, kanang mag-stay up late mo at night, mo akong mabantayan, daghan kayo student nga gasubmit sa akong kadlawon na. And makita din ako nga, daghan kayo may activities kayo. Why not use, no, this remaining time? This is our time man, laboratory man ni nato nga time. So i-utilize na ninyo, no, para dili mo kapuyan bitaw. Isa inyo haramang yun na time management. That is part of time management. Okay, so it's up to you. Wala na po ko'y control, ana. So, kana lang, no? So, 1 hour and 30 minutes, you can use that to start your worksheet 4. Okay, and given na po ang sagot. Given na ang sagot. So, wala gay dapat nga masayop, no, sa inyong activity. Okay, then for the laboratory report, please, if ang member bitaw wala nagtabang, ayaw gyud siya isulat. Kaya kung makita na ko yung pangalan, hatagan gyud na ko siya grade. Okay? So it's up to you, leader. mangusog yun ka leader, ayaw gid siya butang kung wala siya tabang. Okay? Okay ra gid na sa ako Sige. Sige, so thank you everyone for joining. Please start now, no? Answering, accomplishing your activity. Sige, so thank you everyone. God bless. I'll see you this afternoon for our lecture discussion. Sige.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, sige. Thank you. Sige, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Sige, bye. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, thank you.